Yes, Motor Diabolical coming at you with another one. I'm going to talk about these riots going on in LA and all over across the country. I call it the downfall of the anti-black racist buffer class. These Hispanics, these Latinos, these people protesting ICE. And ICE doing all these raids. And, they pulling up on people's jobs, taking them to jail or whatever, deporting them. And I'm all for it. These people come over here and practice too much anti-black racism. And I've been called all kinds of N-words in Spanish by some of these Hispanics and Latinos way before this ICE thing became a problem. Like I always say, I always had this story about when I used to work at this restaurant, this IHOP, out here in Texas, out here in Arlington, Texas, and these racist Hispanics, there was a bunch of them back there working, cooking. They didn't like no black folks back there working with them. The servers, they were Hispanic, Latino, Mexicans, whatever. They didn't want to serve black people, and then they had all these kinds of these Hispanics being like the manager, and they can barely speak the English language. They talking to me in any kind of way, very rude, very disrespectful. And I had to call the corporate office on some of these folks, man. It's ridiculous. And, almost got into a little fight with one of them because one of them thought I didn't like Hispanics or whatever, because I used to go and let the managers know that, hey, they weren't doing their job the correct way when I get there. And, so these people, I experienced anti-black racism from these folks firsthand. So I know how these people get down. And calling black people all kind of N-words in Spanish, pinche mayates, and we lazy and don't want to work. But wasn't for black people, foundational black Americans, this wouldn't be no country for you to come to flee to. A lot of people don't understand that the United States went to war with Mexico in 1846, 1848, the Mexican-American War, and Mexico lost. The United States gave them $15 million for California and Texas and some of these other states that they stole, because there wasn't no United States back then until 1776. So a lot of these states and territories in the United States were broken off from the British. The British had, the Atlantic Ocean part of the United States, like New York and Philadelphia and Delaware and all those other states. The 13 colonies, they were British. And then the French had Louisiana, Missouri, then Spain. They took over California and Florida and some of these other states back in like the 15, 16, 1700s before, the United States became a country. So they claim that the United States, California and some other states were theirs. And that was Spain. That wasn't Mexico. Mexico didn't become a country until 1821. And they did take over California for like 10 years and Texas for like 10 years, I believe, or 15 years in California, 10 years in Texas. That's not long enough for them to populate the whole state. It's not long enough. Then the United States came and was like, no. Y'all had this land for too long, and we finna have a war over this land. Because they want to expand the United States with California and some of these other states. So they went to war and they lost. So all that claim that they had to California and these other little states is over with. And the United States gave Mexico $15 million, which they shouldn't even did. But they gave money to the French too for Louisiana and like Missouri and some other states too, the Louisiana Purchase. So the United States did pay some of these countries that was over here colonizing before the United States became a country. So all that, I done heard some of them protesters say that this California was built by immigrants and stuff like that. That wasn't, no. California and Mexico owned California. They didn't own it for that long, because a lot of cities in California named after Spanish folks. So that was Spain. And that was before the United States even became a country. There wasn't no such thing as a Mexican in those 1700s. There wasn't no such thing. That wasn't even called the Mexicans. So they wasn't even a race of folks yet, like they are now. So that was Spain. Just like Spain took over Florida. Ain't no Mexicans down there speaking. It was Cubans down there now, but when wasn't no Mexicans in there building up no Florida back in the 1500s. Wasn't no such thing. So Yeah, all that claim talking about that was their land and was stolen land. They don't know history. Now back to the protests. These people out here burning cars out there in Los Angeles, burning cars, walk around with all these Mexican flags. Very disrespectful to the United States. Very disrespectful. You know, these people come over here waving their foreign flags but don't want to go back to their country. Tell them you got to go back to Mexico. They want to cry and kick and scream. They want to be, you know, so supportive of their country but don't want to live in their country. That don't make any sense. So all over the United States, these protests have been going on with these people walking around with these Mexican flags, these other flags. It's ridiculous, man. How you want to be a U.S. citizen, but then you want to, you know, walk around with a foreign flag? It don't make any sense. And talking about these people work so hard and they're the basis of our economy. Now, they work so hard and the basis of the economy. Why Mexico ain't one of the richest countries in the world and some of these other countries that they flee from? See what I'm saying? If they work so hard, why is Mexico a third world country? Why ain't no money in Mexico? Why they gotta flee over here? See what I'm saying? They work so hard. These people do not work hard. These people come over here off black Americans' backs, off the things we fought for, our civil rights, everything. Come over here and get goodies, unearned benefits. I didn't work with some of these people. These people are very lazy. These people do not work hard. Some of these folks don't even graduate high school. They come over here and BS and skip school. I went to school with a lot of these people. Most of them didn't even graduate. So I don't know what they doing with their lives. So I graduated from high school. And a lot of black folks I went to school with, they graduated. A lot of these Hispanics, these Mexicans, or wherever these Latinos, they didn't even graduate from high school. They ain't doing nothing with their lives. So I don't even know what they doing. But anyway, these people, like I said, these people practice way too much anti-black racism, and they putting themselves on the map. Talking about this model minority. These folks are not the model minority. These people come over here, commit all kind of crimes and stuff like that. They don't work hard like they say they do. They don't. Some of them got too Americanized. They want to do no work. They want to chill, want to be lazy. So. And I ain't seen it with my own two eyes firsthand, so I'm not talking out my butt. But anyway, like I said, these protests, they sparked these protests all over the United States. Some out here in Texas, then they had some out here in San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas. They doing the same thing they was out there doing in LA. They up there in New York doing the same thing. Chicago, I think they up there in Washington for some reason. I don't know why they up there having some type of protest when a lot of Hispanics are not in Washington like that. Ain't a whole bunch of Mexicans in no Washington state. I don't know what they doing up there, but a lot of these protests going on. The National Guard been called out here in Texas by Governor Abbott, and Trump sent the National Guard and some Marines out there to California. Them people out there acting a fool. They got curfews and stuff like that out there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A lot of these people want black people to go out there and protest with them. I'm not putting a cape on for these folks, and other foundational black Americans don't go out there trying to protest with these people. These people practice too much anti-black racism on a daily basis, man. These people come over here and want to be white. They fight to want to be white, to be called white or white adjacent. And the white supremacists, they letting them know, Donald Trump letting them know that you're not full white, you will never be accepted by whites. So they want to come and cry to us, come and cry to foundational black Americans, like, where we at, why we ain't protesting with them. This is not our fight. This is not our fight. Black folks don't need to be out there protesting with these folks. Don't need to be out there doing nothing. We need to be sitting at home chilling. You know, get a bucket of popcorn and something to drink and watching these people go out there and act a fool, walk around here with these foreign flags, burning up cars and looting. They was out there looting in Los Angeles, turning up Apple stores, Jordan stores. These people out there running out there looting and breaking into people's stuff, and it's ridiculous. There ain't too many black people out there that's good. I don't want to see no black folks out there marching with these people. These people, like I said, these people practice too much anti-black racism for black folks to be out there doing anything with these people. Like these Hispanics, these Latinos, these Mexicans, whatever you want to call them, these Cubans, these Puerto Ricans, whatever you want to call them, let them people hold their own nuts. Let them people hold their own tacos, because we're not going out there protesting with none of these folks. These people, no, hell no. These people, like I said, they practice too much anti-black racism and calling us N-words in Spanish. Talking about we lazy, we don't want to work, but now they crying for us to go out there and help. Nope. This is not our fight. It's not our problem. I do not want to ally with none of these folks, man. None of them. Do not want to ally with them. They can handle their own problems. Black folks, sit your butts down. Don't be out there protesting with these people. We don't need to be out there on our front lines doing nothing. Let them hold their own nuts, man. They want to come over here and practice anti-black racism and side with the white supremacists, and it's backfiring them. The white supremacists are showing them that they not white. Y'all not white, y'all will never be white. Let them classify themselves as white on some of these census forms, but they showing them that, hey, you not white. They're getting the wake-up call, the model minority wake-up call. You're not the model minority. Black Americans are foundational. Black Americans, we are the model minority, and I call it the downfall of the anti-black racist buffer class, because these people are buffers. They come over here to be buffers from in between us Black Americans and the white folks. You know, they ain't up there with the white folks, but they a tier above us, getting all the benefits that we supposed to get. Just like the Asians, just like these other groups of people coming over here, they a buffer class to the white supremacists. So we got to over jump them to get ahead, to be up in second place behind the white supremacists. They basically fighting to be in like second or third place with the Asians and then the Hispanics and these other immigrant groups come over here, become a buffer class. So we got to jump through hurdles to get over them to get things we need. So they knocking them down below us now. So these people come over here and practice all, like I said, I keep saying the same thing. They come over here and practice anti-black racism on a daily basis, 24/7. All these different states, all over the United States, these people practice anti-black racism just along with the white supremacists. They talk to black people any kind of way. Very rude, very disrespectful to black folks, and we built this country for them to flee to. They didn't build nothing. There wasn't no Hispanics and no Mexicans up there working in no South Dakota, no North Dakota, no Vermont, no Wyoming, no Montana. It's a lot of states. They wasn't up there building nothing. They wasn't up there in no Oregon building anything. They wasn't up in no Mississippi, no Alabama, no Tennessee, no North Carolina, no South Carolina. They wasn't nowhere building anything in the United States. They talking about they built this country. Immigrants built this country. This country was already built when y'all got here. The only countries that y'all even had a hand in trying to build anything in is in what, California, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas. 4 states. The Southwest, side of the United States, basically. But all these other states in the United States, they wouldn't build nothing in no Utah. They wouldn't build nothing in no Iowa. They wouldn't build nothing in Nebraska. They wouldn't build nothing in Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio. It's a bunch of states they wouldn't build nothing in. So I don't want to hear these folks talk about they built this country. The immigrants built this country. Immigrants didn't build nothing. The Black Americans, foundational Black Americans built this country. We have black people all over the United States. All these states that I just named, they was building something in. Might not have been a whole bunch of them up there at the top of the United States, like Montana and Wyoming. But there's some black people up there. Some black people in South Dakota, North Dakota. Some black folks in Maine, not too many of them. Some black folks in Vermont, not too many of them. But there's black people all over the United States building. We have been building for hundreds of years before the United States even became a country. The first slave ship came over here in 1526. Wasn't no United States here. And some of them slaves, them African slaves, they went and joined some of these Native American tribes, because some black Native American tribes are already here. Just imagine black folks been on this land since 1526. Probably even longer than that. But yeah, they ain't no. I hear some of these protests talking about we built this country, no, y'all didn't build anything. This country was already built when you got here, when y'all had to flee from Mexico because y'all couldn't cut it in Mexico and these other Spanish-speaking countries. Y'all couldn't cut it. Y'all had to flee. See, Black Americans, we don't flee to a whole nother country. We might move to another state, but we don't flee to a whole nother country because we couldn't get it popping. We couldn't make nothing. So these people had to flee to a whole nother country. Instead of going to Spain, the people who colonized them and left them broke, they want to come over here and piggyback off Black Americans, the things that we built. Yes, for all these protests going on, these ICE protests, man, Black folks, we need to sit down. It's not our fight, not our problem. Let these folks handle their own business. I don't want to ally with these people. These people practice too much anti-Black racism. Can't ally with none of these folks. We need to sit down and focus on getting our reparations as foundational Black Americans. That's the only thing we need to be worried about is getting our reparations and continuously fight the system of white supremacy. That's what I'm on this earth for, to fight the system of white supremacy and get my reparations. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for anything else. It's been more diabolical on my heart.